Hello everyone, it's Eddie again with FSL Landscaping. I know what I want to show y'all today here is my Bobcat 61 procat. It had a 29 horsepower Kawasaki motor on it, and had a misfortune happen with the oil filter. Came undone while mowing a very large property and ran out of oil before I noticed. Well, my guy noticed that didn't have no oil in it. It was leaking out the back right there, and I mean, I guess it's something that easy could happen, but I've never had an oil filter come undone before while mowing. So it actually blew rod through the side of the motor. Well, that motor itself, the cheapest one I could find was $2,700. Well, what I got here is a Briggs 27 Commercial series, 810 cc's, the Cyclone air cleaner. I bought this motor for about $700 on eBay, and I had to buy the muffler. Of course, the muffler off of the Kawasaki didn't work, so, and it was about $100. But yeah, I got about a little over $800 in a pretty powerful motor here. I mean, for people that just really don't have the money to go out and buy a 29 horsepower motor on the spot, $2,700. That's kind of high, but I mean, I guess it's worth it. But anyway, I've been running this mower for a couple of weeks now, and it's been solid. It's strong, got a lot of power. But first I made sure I had the right shaft in there, which goes to your PTO. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it was 1 1/8 or 1 1/4, 4.5 inches long. But measure your shaft just to make sure. I made sure that the Briggs came with the same thing, with the same size shaft in it, so I didn't have that problem right there. And the motor itself actually just bolted in the same holes the Kawasaki did. I was happy about that as well. But yeah, the only thing that I had to do a little modification on is I ran this cable first where they had it, but it wasn't strong enough, and it was pulling back on this tab right here, and it was bending it back, and it wouldn't even pull it back. It was just bending the tab for the choke, and the choke and the fuel throttle are running off of the same linkage right here. So you can actually see I've got the original choke cable just zip tied up, and I'm using the throttle cable, and it runs a lot more freely now that I've made this little piece right here and got it level across through there. So now it just doesn't hang up anymore. And right there's choke, and right there's full throttle. Choke, full throttle. But yeah, that's the only modification I really had to do to this one. As far as the wiring went, I actually took this cover completely off to see where all of my wires went, what they was running to, because you've only got a red and a yellow right here coming out of your Magneto, and then right here you only have 3 wires, actually 4 if you count this little jumper, coming from the motor itself. Well, I took this connector right here off of a regular Briggs & Stratton regular riding lawnmower, just old cheapo that was blowed up. I had it. I just cut off the adapter here and used the wires off of it. As far as the wiring went, I did run an inline fuse on every single one of them because I didn't want any issues. Had never wired this kind of motor up before or did this kind of swap, so I just wanted to be on the safe side. I don't know if I even needed them, but I left them on there because it works, and it assures me that nothing's going to actually short out. If it did, it's going to catch that fuse first. Let's get started here. The starter itself did not come with the solenoid piggybacked on the side of it. Right here's the starter on the Briggs motor, and you can see it doesn't have a solenoid on the side of it to piggyback over. So what I had to do was use a 3-post solenoid, which is right here, and I just, on that side, I run a power wire from the mower, this little red wire, and I run the battery cable from the mower right here to this back nut. On this side, I took and ran a little short jumper wire over here to the starter. The little post that comes off of the starter right there, that's about 12 inches long on this side. And this is so that you can jump power across, because if you go hooking this battery cable up straight to the starter, it's going to try to fire on you. You don't want that. So this is basically a jump through and a kill switch at the same time. That's what this yellow wire is. This yellow wire runs down here to your yellow and black off of the mower itself, out of the mower's wiring harness. And you can see I got my little inline fuse here. And then this is your actual kill switch. That's your solenoid kill switch right there. The next one, that's your starter solenoid kill switch. My bad if I said that wrong. The next wire that I got coming off of the mower is this purple wire right here. And your purple wire off of this particular mower is the fuel solenoid. And you can see I've got my inline fuse here again. And then it's running to this blue wire. Well, that blue wire is irrelevant in this. That's just because I've got this adapter right here. This adapter right here is hooking that blue wire into the gray wire from the Briggs. And then how I figured that part out was, well, right here's your gray wire, and right here is your fuel solenoid off of the motor, off the Briggs motor. So that's how I figured that part out. That was a fuel solenoid. And how I figured it out from the old motor that the purple one was at, I just went and found the fuel solenoid on the Kawasaki one, and that's how I determined that that was a fuel solenoid. Because I cut all my wires a little long so that I could see where they went back to on the other motor. But that's what the purple wire is. The next wire you got here is your white wire. This white wire is coming from the mower's harness, and I got it running in to another inline switch, inline fuse I mean. And on this inline fuse, it's running into my black and white on my adapter, which is, you know, that's irrelevant. But it's running into the black off of the mower. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's running to the black off of the mower. Well, that's my Magneto. And the reason how I determined the black one was a Magneto, like I said, I took this cover off, found my Magneto, boom. That's how I figured all that out. Okay, the next one is the green wire, which is right here. And you can see I just got it capped off. The reason I capped that off is because that's your oil pressure switch. And on this motor itself, it doesn't have an oil pressure switch. It doesn't really need one. You can go buy one and put it in there. But if you just keep an eye on your oil and everything, I'm pretty sure you're not going to have that problem. And it doesn't really matter if you do, because, like I said, I blew up the Kawasaki motor that was on here, and I got no warning that it was out of oil pressure or anything. I mean, it had a little hourglass up there, but when you're mowing, you're not sitting there just looking at it. There wasn't no horn beeping or telling me. So, yeah, that's what that is. And then, let's see here. What else wires did you have coming out of here? That's it. That was actually coming out of the mower itself. I mean, out of the harness on the mower. My bad. I'm going to say tractor. The harness of the tractor. Now, you do have this black wire that's coming from up underneath here. Your fuel, which is your PTO. And that's the black wire right there for the ground. And what I did with the ground wires is when I had this cover off, I just grounded it all out to the motor. I grounded out my harness to the motor so that everything was grounded out perfect. And then my ground, just like I said, my ground for my batteries run to the motor itself too, just so I knew everything was grounded out to the motor and the mower. And make sure you ground this solenoid right here, because if not, it ain't gonna fire either. I figured that out basically because I forgot, well, I didn't scrape the paint off there before I bolted it on, and it wasn't getting a good connection before it started one time, and then it just wouldn't do nothing else but click. So make sure you grind or sand this paint off here, or wherever you're going to put your solenoid at, so that it gets a good connection. But yeah, for anybody that's had a problem with a motor and want a cheap fix, that's basically the cheapest one that I could find that was that many horsepower. And yeah, it's got plenty of power, does what I need it to do. And I just thought this might help somebody out that had the same issue or wants to try to put one of these motors on theirs. Just see what kind of wires you got coming out of your wiring harness. I'm sure they're all different some way, but if you'll just take your old motor and just trace them down to where they went to on the old motor and just write it down on a piece of paper, then you can basically see what you got to do to wire it back up again. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps somebody out.